This is Michael Wilson. We're looking at the assertion that climate change is not only a religion, it is a cult. So we have the first commandment from God, who says, "You shall have no other gods before me." God forbids idolatry. And the Apostle Paul was very clear. He said to us, "Therefore, my beloved, flee from idolatry." So, more than 15 years ago, in September of 2003, Michael Crichton, famous for writing Jurassic Park, who's also a doctor, said this: "Today, one of the most powerful religions in the Western world is environmentalism, or climate change. It seems to be the choice of religion for urban atheists." Why do I say it's a religion? Well, let's just look at the beliefs. If you look carefully, you see that climate change is in fact a perfect 21st century remapping of Judeo-Christian beliefs and myths. It is an initial Eden, a paradise, a state of grace, and unity with nature. There's a fall from grace into the state of pollution as a result of eating from the tree of knowledge, and as a result of our actions, there is a judgment day coming for all of us. We are all energy centers doomed to die unless we seek salvation, which is now called sustainability. Sustainability is salvation in the church of the environment. Just as organic food is its communion, the pesticide-free wafer that the right people with the right beliefs imbibe. But let's go beyond that. Is it idolatry and a religion, or is it a cult? Well, when we look at cult, Rick Ross, who's an expert on cults and intervention specialist, so cults require intervention, he developed a list of 10 warning signs for unsafe groups that are published in the Cult Education Institute. The first is absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability. The leading advocates of climate change are politicians, entertainment, and even children. The second one is no tolerance for questions or critical inquiry. The conclusions of the climate change movement may not be challenged or questioned under any circumstances. Third, no meaningful financial disclosure regarding budget, expenses, such as independently audited financial statements. Hardly anyone knows or could predict how much money is spent on climate change research each year or will be spent to bring it to an end. Fourth is unreasonable fear about the outside world, such as impending catastrophe, evil conspiracies, and persecutions. This one is pretty obvious. Just listen to the shouts of the updated apocalypse predictions every few years. They're eerily reminiscent of the stereotypical bum on the sidewalk with the sign that says, "The end is near." The fifth sign: there is no legitimate reason to leave. Former followers are always wrong in leaving, negative, or even evil. Climate alarmists who leave, step back from, or even lightly criticize the movements are immediately subjected to vicious smear campaigns. Six, former members often relate the same stories of abuse and reflect a similar pattern of grievances. The pattern is all too familiar with anyone who has studied what happens to individuals who leave the Church of Scientology, and clearly meets this sixth warning for unsafe groups. Seventh, there are records, books, news articles, television programs that document the abuses of the group and the leaders. The abuses of climate change movement are loud and proud. They vociferously attack their perceived enemies for public consumption, are cheered on by fellow travelers in the journalism class. Eighth, followers feel that they can never be good enough. The atonement process for climate warriors always demands more. Ninth, the group leader is always right. We have the climate change leaders being called wrong for their failed predictions. Regardless of the weather, they're always intrinsically correct. And 10th and the last, the group leader is the exclusive means of knowing the truth or receiving validation. No other process of discovery is really acceptable or credible. The path for discovery for the climate change movement is intentionally vague discipline called client science. So what is the verdict? It is a fake religion, it is idolatry, and it is a cult. According to the established scientific guidelines developed by cult experts, the climate change movement fits the bill for potentially unsafe groups. What's the solution? Is typically called an intervention.